On the one up here?
This one probably, yeah, because everybody in the audience can see this one, probably.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's for Greg.
All right, please call the roll.
Alderman Strelchak,
Here.
Alderman Talaco. Here. Alderman Meyer.
Here.
Alderman Hampshire.
Here.
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 Alderman Brett.
Here.
Gephardt.
Here.
And Mayor.
Here. First up, we have a series of public hearings. The first is ordinance 2025-1678, an ordinance amending chapter 58 of the Mequon Municipal Code in connection with the implementation of 2023 Wisconsin Act 16 related to process and procedure for certain zoning related applications. It was recommended by Planning Commission February 24th, recommended by Public Welfare Committee on April 8th. First reading at Common Council also on April 8th. Is there a motion to go into public hearing?
Move to go on the public. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in public hearing. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none.
Public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You're back in regular session. We'll immediately consider this ordinance. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further comments or questions we haven't gotten out of the way yet on this item?
If I could just highlight this one change that between the first reading and the second reading, I do mention in the packet. Maybe got overlooked, so I just want to highlight it. There is a change. It really is in that first section of the ordinance itself. Former Mayor Worth caught me and pointed out that I mistakenly carried through the vote requirement of just present in voting, which is otherwise the standard, to the situation where there is what they call a down voting. So something that's going to limit the overall uses with potential property typically. Statute in that case actually says that it has to be a majority of the full body as opposed to just those who are present in voting. In most cases, those are going to be the same number, but there are some circumstances where that number may be one vote different, basically. And as a result, we just made the change to just reflect what the statute says instead of what was previously recommended.
So it's in perfect harmony with the statutes that
Correct.
the state says we have to adopt. Thank you for that. We have a motion and a second. Are there any additional questions? The attorney? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Strelchak.
Aye.
Alderman Talaco. Aye. Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hampshire.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Gephardt.
Aye.
That ordinance passes. Our next public hearing is on ordinance 2025-1679. Ordinance amending section 58-41 prin G of Mequon Municipal Code related to the issuance of decisions by the Board of Appeals. Recommended by the Board of Appeals on January 2nd, recommended by the Planning Commission on February 24th, recommended by Public Welfare on April 8th, and a first reading at the Common Council also on April 8th. Is there a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now again in public hearing for this item. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of closing public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are back and we'll immediately take up this ordinance as well. Are there any questions for staff before we do so? Of course, we do need a motion as well.
Second.
Motion is second. Any parting questions from the council? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Ryan.
Aye.
Alderman Hampshire.
Aye.
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 Alderman Mequon.
Aye.
And Alderman Schmelter.
Aye.
That ordinance carries. On to ordinance 2025-1680. Ordinance amending the City of Mequon Code of Ordinances, Chapter 58 for Planning and Development Regulations, Article 3, impact fees relating to the imposition or impact fees relating to the imposition of impact fees mandated by the Department of Redundancy Department. This is recommended by Planning Commission on April 21st. Further recommendation forthcoming from Public Welfare on May 13th. And is a first reading. How did Public Welfare weigh in on this evening?
My name is personnel.
Yeah, it wasn't on our agenda, I don't think, right?
Oh, it says Public Welfare. Finance and Personnel.
Yeah.
Oh, it was approved by Finance and Personnel, or just a little typographical error in the agenda packet. Okay, is there a motion to go into public hearing? Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You're now in public hearing. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to speak on this item? Hearing and seeing none again, is there a motion to close public hearing?
Move to close public hearing.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're back in regular session. There's a note here that there's a potential consideration for suspension of the rules if we wanted to pass this tonight. Is anyone so inclined to make a motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Motion and a second to suspend the rules. Please call the roll.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Schmelter.
Aye.
Alderman Schmelter. Aye.
All right, we have voted to suspend the rules, so we are now able to consider this ordinance this evening.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments, questions for staff? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Aye.
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 Alderman Schmelter.
Aye.
Alderman Schmelter. Aye. And Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
That ordinance carries. On to personal appearances and public comment. Citizens wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time. If you desire to be heard on the agenda, you may be heard when that item is considered on the agenda. Please speak into the microphone at the podium. Well, here, you can have this microphone if anyone wants to come forward. Time limit is 5 minutes. To have your opinion recorded, please, fill the registration slip, and someone has filled out one of those slips tonight. Gib Emiger from 10414 North Bittersweet Court. The topic is money in politics resolution. Would you like to talk to us?
Good, thank you. Good to see some familiar faces. Good having heard, I've been, community members for 41 years. My husband and I have raised all four of our kids here. Ryan is our alderman. Not talking about anything that you would expect, based on your agenda. I really missed all these polarizing political ads during our election season. Or I'm glad billionaires are now buying our elections, has said no one ever. I'm here today to make a formal request for the common council to take action on a resolution that addresses the issue of big money in politics, and by doing so, make Mequon the 180th municipality in our state to express support for action to be taken by our state legislators. Voters want Congress and the president to address the influence of money in politics, and they overwhelmingly support the proposal and ratification of a constitutional amendment that does just that. Currently, 23 states, both red and blue, have passed a resolution that implores Congress to send an amendment to the states that addresses big money in politics. With their revolutionary embrace of popular sovereignty, America's founders designed a government of by and for the people. From the beginning, the promise of America has been the promise of freedom and self-governance. But decades of judicial overreach have taken the power away from voters and concentrated it in the hands of billionaires, corporations, and foreign actors who can now spend unlimited amounts to influence elections. Throughout our state and country, citizens are expressing their displeasure with the current state of affairs when it comes to money and politics. In a recent Pew survey, where participants were asked their opinions about important national and economic issues, the role of money in politics was number one. Citizens across the country are imploring their legislators to take action. And I'm asking you to use your position in our city government to amplify the voices of your constituents by passing a resolution that implores our state legislators to make Wisconsin the 24th state to pass a resolution for a constitutional amendment. In the packet of information that I will be providing to you after I'm done talking, you'll find a template for this resolution. It can be modified as you wish, as long as you convey your support for this. I look forward to participating in a county council meeting very soon in the future, hopefully this summer. This shouldn't take a lot of time on an agenda, so I'm really hoping this will be quick. And just so that you know, there is currently a bipartisan bill in front of our Wisconsin legislature calling for just this. Throughout your consideration of this request, many questions will likely arise. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time, but only you can answer the question, why should I do this? I hope your response comes from your commitment when you took office to take a stand on issues that are important to those you represent. I hope any concerns you may have about the challenges associated with getting an amendment to the Constitution passed. Remember, we've had a lot of them over our 250 years already. Do not stop you from taking the right action. While this may take time and effort, it's a worthwhile endeavor and one that you can be proud to sponsor. That's all I had to say. If it's okay, I have a little bit of information that I'd like to give each of you, but I really look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Please, yes, yeah, come forward and pass it out. While you pass that out, is there anyone else here this evening who would wish to speak on any item not on the agenda? Thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on to public officials reports. I don't have anything to add except I'd like to say thank you to the festivals committee for putting on yet another fantastic festival over the weekend, our first ever Redbud Festival. I hope you were able to attend. I was unfortunately out of town and unable to attend.
Awesome.
But I heard about how great it was for my wife, who worked the whole day Saturday, helping pull it off. So another great job by the festivals committee. They ranked very highly at our open house for the civic campus improvements. Lots of favorable ratings for the festivals committee and all they've done over the years to help make Mequon a more inviting community event-driven place. So well done to the festivals committee. Mr. City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just two quick announcements this evening. This week, the city of Mequon will be launching its 2025 community survey. 2025 survey builds on previous efforts to gauge community feedback dating all the way back to 1998. And this year's survey, again, will seek input on a variety of topics, including community attributes, development, parks and open space, satisfaction with city services, amongst others. This week, ETC Institute, the city's chosen vendor, will send all Mequon households either a paper copy of the survey if they were selected to be a part of the random statistical sample, or a postcard with a QR code. Take the survey online at mequonsurvey.org. The survey contains 24 questions, and all questionnaires must be completed and postmarked by Monday, June 30th of this year. So it's mid-May, and all surveys are due back either online or in paper format by the end of June 30th this year. And then coming up, later this month, the city will once again be partnering with the Village of Painesville to host, and the Legion Post here, Legion Post 457, to host the Memorial Day observance ceremonies on the steps of City Hall. This year's ceremony will take place on the morning of Monday, May 26th, beginning at 10 a.m. and will include a flag raising, music from the Homestead High School Band, and comments from local dignitaries. The traditional Memorial Day parade that has taken place in past years will not be a part of this year's remembrances, and a lunch will take place at the conclusion of the ceremony here at the Legion Post along Mequon Road. Additional details are available on the city website, and that will obviously be taking place again on Memorial Day at 10 a.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Move on to the consent agenda. We have 12.
Question.
Oh. Alderman,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Alderman Parrish.
My question was, for the first readings, I had some questions about those. Does it just make sense to ask that to be pulled next month? Or is it this month that I should be discussing them?
The first readings that are before us,
Yes.
these are first readings. I would
So just do
probably
next
just,
month.
I'd forward the questions to staff as soon as possible so they can get a jump on it, but
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
good question. Much appreciated. Consent agenda consists of 12 various boards and commissions minutes or other staff reports and 2 first readings, which we'll read separately. Is there a motion to approve those 12 items on the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Wait, one question.
We'll back that up for a second.
Item H, Park and Open Space Board meeting minutes.
Would you like Park and Open Space Board minutes removed from the vote?
No, I just did a correction.
Okay, then we should remove it from the vote. So the 11 items minus number 8 or print H for Park and Open Space Board minutes. Is there a motion to approve those 11 items? Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those 11 items are approved. Now we'll take up separately Park and Open Space Board meetings, which is item 7H on the agenda. And your concern was
A typo, yes. On that February meeting, Alderman Bach is not listed as attending that meeting, but he is listed as voting for all the items. I was not there. It just was a typo. I'm an alternate, so I attend meetings when Peter cannot. So that just needs to be corrected.
Yeah, so we discussed this at the meeting in March. And then I just think the wrong version of data in the back. So maybe discuss it then.
Must be, because you're right, but it might have been a lapse, did that just happened, right? Did that just happen at Wednesday's meeting? And I think,
Oh, the packet was prepared before then?
yeah,
Just needs to be corrected.
Okay, so it's been corrected at committee.
open space board amended that use.
So is there a motion to approve the version that was amended by the committee? All right,
Second.
perfect. Motion and a second. All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you for cleaning that up. We have 2 ordinance first readings. Again, on the agenda, there's not public hearing items. Ordinance 2025-1681, an ordinance amending chapter 58 of the Mequon Municipal Code related to structures on the Lake Michigan Bluff. This is recommended by the Planning Commission April 21st. Recommendation forthcoming from Public Welfare May 13th. The recommendation forthcoming from Committee of the Whole also this evening. It is a first reading. The other ordinance is ordinance 2025-1682, an ordinance amending following within chapter 58 of the Mequon Municipal Code in connection with planned improvements for the property located at 10806 West Freistadt Road. A, the city's land use plan map from neighborhood commercial to residential 1 to 1.5 acres. And B, the city's zoning map from B1 neighborhood commercial to R4 residential 3/4 acre. This is recommended by the planning commission on April 21st and is a first reading. We have no additional ordinances for consideration on the agenda this evening. We do have a handful of resolutions, the first of which is resolution 4208. Resolution approving an agreement for legal services with Stafford Rosenbaum LLP of Madison, Wisconsin for the period of June 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. This was recommended earlier this evening by Finance and Personnel Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the alderman? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Aye.
Alderman
Aye.
Alderman Gallagher.
Aye.
Alderman Shopta.
Aye.
Apple. Aye. Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
And Alderman Hanson.
Aye. That resolution passes. On to resolution 4209. Resolution ratifying two change orders to a contract with Seltzer Orange Construction of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the amount of $31,786 in connection with the replacement of various HVAC units and other upgrades within the council chambers at City Hall. The recommendation forthcoming from Public Works Committee this evening.
Public Works approved of that, and I move the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. For those watching later at home, not watching live at home tonight, but imagine that you go digging in old walls and you find things like asbestos that need to get taken care of. So hence the change order this evening. Any other comments or feedback for staff on this item? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Parrish.
Aye.
Alderman Rath.
Aye.
Alderman Gallagher.
Aye.
Alderman Shopta.
Aye.
Alderman Flacco. Aye. Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hanson.
Aye.
And Alderman Dodd.
Aye.
That resolution carries. On to resolution 4210, a resolution granting a temporary limited easement at the northeast corner of Mequon Road and Robin Lane to the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Recommendation forthcoming from Public Works this evening.
Public Works approved of it, and I'd like to move resolution 42 and for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or feedback for staff? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Aye.
Shopta.
Aye.
Alderman Flacco. Aye. Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hanson.
Aye.
Alderman Dodd.
Aye.
Alderman Parrish.
Aye.
That too is approved. On to resolution 4211, resolution granting two permanent easements, permitted limited easements at the Trinity Creek crossing of Wauwatosa Road, approximately 410 feet north of County Line Road. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation, recommendation forthcoming from Public Works this evening.
Public Works have approved of it, and I move resolution 4211 for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions for staff?
Just note, there was on the dais for you handouts, we intended to include a map that kind of identified where the two easements were located. Initially intended to attach the appraisal reports, which included the maps, so we didn't add them again. And then as we were preparing the package, we realized that the appraisal reports ended up being about 100 pages between the two parcels. And as a result, we decided to leave those out, but we never went back in to put back a map. So the map just shows you on the left side, the two parcels that are kind of highlighted in red. Obviously on the left side is the parcel that's on the nature preserve property proper. And then on the right side, there's a small piece that is the city's parcel on that side, which is also leased to the nature preserve. They don't do active programming.
Thank you. At 100 pages, the appraisal must have cost more than the amount of the easement we're getting.
It
Government at its finest. Thank you for the added information there, Mr. City Attorney. Any further comments from council? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Aye.
Alderman Shopta.
Aye.
Alderman Flacco. Aye.
Alderman Ryder,
Aye.
Alderman Cantor,
Aye.
Aye.
and Alderman Pratt.
And item 2 carries. On to our final resolution, resolution 4212. Resolution awarding a design contract for the Donjas Bay Road turn lane improvement to Harwood Engineering Consultants Limited in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the amount of $21,000. Recommendation forthcoming from Public Works this evening.
Public Works approved of it, and I move resolution 4212 for approval.
Is there a second? Oh, sorry. Okay, motion and a second. Any comments or questions for staff? Alderman Parrish.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna try to articulate this in a way that won't take us off topic, but I guess been trying to understand the process for this right turn lane coming from East Donjas Bay since it came up as just an idea. I was always kind of worried about it just kind of trickling along and then all of a sudden getting to an RFP, and here we are to the RFP, and we still haven't actually talked about if we want a right-hand turn lane there. And I've seen this so many times now where you kind of go down this path and we're about to spend 20 grand. It's like, oh, we spent 20 grand. We have the design. We should just do it. And by the way, I guess where I'm struggling here is a couple of things. First of all, we do know the potential costs of this right-hand turn lane. One of misquoted was approximately 120,000 or so. But there are unknown costs, including burying of utility lines and things of that nature. As we know, we just did that over here, and it was a multi-million-dollar project burying utility lines. So to some extent, I don't feel that we haven't even decided to do this yet, and we don't have all the information for it. And I know the mayor will have a lot of good counterpoints, so I'm just trying to get my thoughts out. I'm trying to understand the logic for even having a right turn lane. What problem are we trying to solve? And more recently, I've opened up the topic about safety of other areas of Port Washington Road. I know we're about to do the corridor study, but we may have omitted some safety upgrades right in front of Sendix and the feedback, which is a highly dangerous, uncontrolled intersection. I had the police department kindly pull the records. There's at least 5 accidents there a year, if not more. My point is that there's a real need for some kind of upgrade there. I'm worried we're missing the boat. And these things need to be paid for. They're going to be paid for out of the TIP funds. And I haven't heard kind of a statement of accounting where we're at. I realized that we could do both. So like, if we could do both, I'd be like, okay, Mayor, this is great. I respect it.
Here's the distinction.
We'll just,
Here's the distinction.
Okay.
This is on our Donjas Bay Road, and it's our cost. That intersection you described is the purview of Ozaki County, which we have zero right-of-way authority to do anything with. What we are going to do is, with the traffic safety study that the police department pulled, we're going to forward it on to the county. It is their jurisdiction and theirs alone to decide what they want to do with that. We have no ability to affect an outcome on it otherwise. The other changes we're doing in the corridor are in the medians and in the right of way on the edge of the road to beautify, but we are not changing the road itself. And respectfully, we have talked about this a number of times, and the aldermen that have lived in the area expressed support for it. If you drive that every morning, as I do, you will find it frequently backing up well past the new beautiful beauty care facility on the northeast corner of the road. And not being able to clear right-hand turning movements from that side is in itself a safety issue. So the reason this keeps getting brought forward is because we see a problem, we have an ability to affect the outcome, and we're trying to do something about it. The other one you described is an Ozaki County problem that probably deserves attention. We can't tell them to do it.
won't we need to, whether it's a stoplight or a change in the medians, aren't they just going to say you have to fund it?
They will probably do an 80-20 cost share, as most things in those are done. And the local municipality ends up picking up the 20% typically.
Okay.
Um,
So my.
we have
just
plenty
really
of,
just-
plenty of money in the budget for that.
Yeah, when do, so I feel like voting on this tonight is essentially deciding to do it, first of all.
Yes, if
So I
you're
think
so
the
inclined, you
council
can
should
vote
be-
against it. That's
Yeah, I just
okay.
want to be clear with my colleagues here that they understand what they're voting for. I don't think that's a problem.
I think it's clear that the intent is to move forward by voting yes for it, so.
Well, I just, perfect. We're in agreement. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure everyone understands that by voting yes for the RFP, they're essentially voting yes for the term lane. And I don't feel we have all the information.
And to be clear, there's
Here's what
no utility burial necessarily required. A relocation of a pole is required. I don't think we plan on burying any utilities on Fort Washington Road because the cost to bury the whole corridor exceeds $10 million. And we're
Just
just,
a fraction.
it-
My
it's-
point was there's unresearched information. We're asking to vote on something before having the costs on it. So,
you can always reject the cost later if they're too high. But we won't know what it costs until we have a design. So here we
I
we
got
have
my
a
point out.
conundrum.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Felcher,
Aye.
Alderman Flacco,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Hancher,
Aye.
Alderman Bach,
Aye.
Parrish,
No.
Alderman Brett, Alderman Gephardt.
Aye.
That resolution carries. We have no specified unfinished business from prior meetings. We do have some specified new business, however. There are two appointments for consideration on this evening's agenda. One is the Board of Appeals, filling an alternate one position for Allison Kroger, and the Festivals Committee appointment to Janet Worth, formerly Janet Fussell, who used to be on the Festivals Committee till she took a hiatus, but she would like to get back in the game. Is there a recommendation on those two appointments? Approval. Recommend to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? It's happening. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those appointments carry. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
That's it.